The girl in the field. The sun was low in the sky when Elias finished checking the last row of his crops. His farm was quiet, surrounded by tall grass and open fields. It had been a peaceful day, until he noticed something strange near the edge of the cornfield. Something moved. At first he thought it was just a small animal, but then he saw two glowing eyes, soft, blue, and full of fear. A tiny figure peeked from behind the tall grass. It was a child, an alien child. She looked no older than 6. Her skin was pale lavender, almost like moonlight. She wore a dirty, torn cloak and no shoes. Her knees were scratched and her hands shook. A metal bracelet on her wrist blinked slowly with strange blue light. Elias didn't move. He didn't want to scare her. "Hey, you okay?" he said softly. The girl didn't answer. She looked around as if afraid someone might be watching. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. Her legs wobbled. She took 2 steps and collapsed. Elias ran to her. She was cold. Too cold. Her breathing was weak. He lifted her carefully and carried her into his cabin. She didn't resist. Her eyes closed. She had passed out. Inside, Elias wrapped her in a thick blanket. He lit the fire and placed her near it. She was so small, so quiet. A strange feeling settled in his chest. He didn't know where she had come from, but he knew she needed help. Later that night, the girl woke up. She looked around with wide eyes. When she saw Elias, she sat up quickly, scared. "It's okay," Elias said, raising his hands. "You're safe." She didn't speak, but she didn't run either. Elias offered her warm soup. She sniffed it, then ate like she hadn't eaten in days. He smiled. "Hungry, huh?" Still, she said nothing. But her eyes watched everything. Elias noticed the bracelet again. It had strange alien symbols on it, glowing faintly. He touched it gently. "Does this do something?" The girl quickly pulled her hand back. She shook her head. "No." All right, Elias said, backing off. No bracelet talk. She hugged the blanket tighter. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. He sat near the window, staring at the sky. Stars blinked above, but something else moved across them. A small drone. It flew in slow circles near his field, watching, searching. He stepped outside quietly. The grass was wet. The night was silent. Then, from the forest, a voice whispered, "Not human." Elias froze. The voice was faint, robotic, but he could understand it. Target, missing. Life signs. Female subject. Priority. He ran back inside and bolted the door. The girl was already awake. She sat up on the couch, eyes wide. "You were running from them, weren't you?" Elias whispered. She nodded. He crouched next to her. "You're in danger." She didn't nod this time. She looked at him with sad eyes, and then in a quiet voice, broken but clear, she said her first word. "Mother." Elias felt something twist inside his chest. He looked at the child. This lost, scared alien girl. Alone in a world she didn't understand. Running from something that wanted to catch her. She had no food, no shoes, and no mother. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "I don't know who you are," he said gently, "but until we find your mother, you can stay with me." The girl blinked, then slowly leaned into him. The fire crackled. Outside, the drone passed over the cabin, scanning the area. Inside, a silent promise had been made. The girl was not alone anymore. The next morning, sunlight touched the old cabin's wooden floor. The alien girl was still asleep, curled beside the fire, blanket wrapped tightly around her. Elias watched her quietly, sipping warm tea. He hadn't slept much. His mind was full of questions. Who was she? Where was her mother? And why were drones searching for her? When she woke, Elias offered her fresh bread. She took it shyly, glancing at the window. She still looked afraid. Elias sat beside her and pointed to himself. Elias, he said slowly. She blinked. Then she pointed to herself. Naya. Her voice was soft and light. It was the first time she spoke her name. Elias smiled. Naya, that's a pretty name. After breakfast, Elias tried to look at her bracelet again. This time she didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her wrist and let him see the glowing marks. The metal wasn't smooth. It had tiny ridges and symbols pulsing like a heartbeat. It didn't look like any tech Elias had seen, not even from alien traders in the nearby town. He fetched an old scanning tool from his shed. He waved it near the bracelet. The screen flickered, struggling to translate, then it showed a few broken words. Track active. Gene lock. Child of Curie. Elias frowned. Child of who? Naya lowered her eyes. She touched her chest. Mother. Curie. The bracelet wasn't just a decoration. It was a tracker. Maybe even a lock. It was probably how the drones were, following her. He quickly wrapped it with foil and leather. It stopped glowing. Naya looked at him confused. Just hiding you better, Elias said. She nodded slowly. Later that day, Elias took her outside to the field. He wanted to distract her, make her smile. She walked carefully, toes touching the soft grass. For the first time, she looked a little happy. She stopped near a row of wildflowers. Then she did something strange. She bent down, touched a blue flower, and it bloomed instantly. Elias blinked. That's not normal, he whispered. He watched as she touched another. It lit up brighter than the sun. She didn't seem surprised, like she'd done it before. Is that your power? He asked. Naya tilted her head, confused. Elias pointed to the flower, then to her hand. You made it grow. She nodded once. But how? She said one word. Gift. That night, Elias turned on his old compad and searched for any news. He found something, a report from a spaceport. Refugee ship destroyed mid-warp. Only small pod detected landing in human sector. The ship was called Curie 1. He looked at Naya, who was now sleeping peacefully on the couch. Her name. Her mother's name. The bracelet. The drones. Everything was connected. Her people were gone. She was the only one left. Suddenly, there was a sharp noise outside. Elias grabbed his flashlight and opened the door. Something had landed in his field. A small, triangular device. Alien. Tech. It beeped once, then went silent. Elias picked it up carefully. It was a beacon. They were getting closer. He ran back inside and bolted the doors. He looked at Naya, still sleeping unaware. We have to leave soon, he whispered. But where would they go? The next morning, Naya walked to Elias and held out her hand. She had drawn something on her palm. A symbol. The same symbol from her bracelet. She pointed to it, then to the sky, then to her heart. Elias understood. Her mother was still alive. Somewhere out there, and Naya wanted to find her. Elias kneeled down and held her hand. We'll find her, he promised, no matter what it takes. Outside, the wind picked up. The hunt had begun. It rained that morning. Dark clouds covered the sky, and cold wind blew through the trees. Elias and Naya stayed inside the cabin. The beacon from yesterday was gone. Burned, buried. But Elias knew they were being watched now. Naya sat on the wooden floor, humming softly. Her voice was soft like the sound of falling leaves. She drew shapes in the dust, stars, a moon, and a woman's face with long hair. Elias watched her, wondering. That face, was it her mother? Suddenly, Naya stopped. Her eyes widened. She stood, up and ran to the door. She placed her small hand on it and whispered one word. Mother. Elias rushed to the window. Far across the field, just at the edge of the trees, something moved. A shape. Someone walking. Slowly. Stumbling. barely standing. He grabbed his coat and ran outside. The figure fell to her knees. By the time Elias reached her, she had collapsed in the mud. It was a woman, taller than Naya, same glowing skin, same strange markings across her arms and neck. Her cloak was torn, soaked, and one side of her face was bruised. She was shivering. Elias knelt beside her. "Can you hear me?" Her lips moved. "Naya," she whispered. He looked back. Naya was already running toward them, barefoot, tears in her eyes. "Mother." The woman opened her eyes just enough to see her daughter. She smiled weakly. Then everything went dark. Inside the cabin, Elias did his best. He wrapped the woman in blankets, gave her water, and tried to clean her wounds. Her skin was cold. Her breathing, slow and shallow. Naya never left her side. Elias stood by the fireplace trying to think. Who was she? How had she survived? Hours passed before the woman finally opened her eyes again. Her voice was dry. Her words, broken, but clear. You helped her." Elias nodded. "She came to me. I didn't know what else to do." The woman coughed. "They destroyed our ship, took the others. I escaped. Only Naya, I thought she couldn't finish." She held Naya tightly, crying quietly. Elias looked away to give them privacy. That night, as the fire burned low, the woman sat up slowly. She introduced herself as Kiri. She was not just Naya's mother. She was the last living member of a royal bloodline from a lost colony. Their planet had fallen, and she and her daughter were the only survivors. The bracelet was a royal tracking device, used to locate heirs, and now others wanted it. "They want to control her," Kiri said, her voice heavy. "She's valuable, not as a child, but as a symbol. They'll use her to gain power. The syndicate doesn't care she's a little girl." Elias clenched his jaw. "Then we fight." Kiri looked at him sadly. "No, we hide." She paused, then looked straight into his eyes. "I need you to do something, human." Elias frowned. "What?" "Take her, raise her, be her father." Elias was shocked. "Wait, what?" Kiri looked desperate. "If they find us again, I won't survive. But they may leave her alone if she's part of a registered family. They won't question a human husband. That's how the system works." "But marriage?" Kiri's voice cracked. "Yes, it must be official. They respect human bonds. If you marry me, she'll be protected. Just long enough to disappear." Elias looked at Naya. She was drawing again, this time a picture of the three of them together, smiling. He took a deep breath. "I don't know if I'm ready for this." "But you're kind," Kiri said, "and kind men are rare in this galaxy." Elias stood in silence for a long time. Outside, the wind howled, the sky lit with distant flashes of lightning. Inside, something much bigger than a storm was happening. He walked over to Kiri and held out his hand. "I don't know what tomorrow will bring," he said. "But if this means she's safe, then I'll stand by you." Kiri took his hand, and for the first time her eyes softened. The stars above Elias's cabin now felt heavier, like they were watching. By morning, Kiri was strong enough to stand. Her bruises had faded a little, but not the fear in her eyes. Elias and Kiri stood beside the fire, a small government datapad between them. On the screen, marriage declaration, human-alien union request. Elias had never imagined signing something like this, not with someone he'd just met, not for protection. But it wasn't about love. It was about survival. Kiri's voice was quiet. "Once this file goes in the system, the syndicate won't touch her. For now." He looked at Naya, who was quietly feeding a small bird she had found. Her smile was soft. Innocent. She didn't know what was at stake. With a deep breath, Elias pressed his thumb to the screen. Confirmed, a blue light blinked, then a message. Inspector assigned. Home visit scheduled. Kiri froze. They're sending someone? Elias nodded. Tomorrow morning. Her voice turned cold. If the inspector suspects a fake marriage, they'll take Naya and kill us. That night, the cabin became a strange place. Elias and Kiri had to act like a couple. He gave her the room. He slept on the couch. They practiced simple stories. How they met, how long they'd been together, how they decided to care for Naya. Kiri had to wear his old coat to look more human. He helped her tie her hair back. Her hands shook. I never thought I'd pretend to be someone's wife, she whispered. I never thought I'd be pretending either, Elias said with a soft smile. They stood there for a moment, close but not touching. Both strangers, both trying to act like a family. Naya walked in holding a flower, for Mama. Kiri took it gently, her eyes wet, and for that moment, it didn't feel like pretending. Morning came fast. A black syndicate ship hovered above the field. Silent. Watching. A beam of blue light struck the ground outside, and a tall figure appeared, slender, silver-skinned, eyes like glass. An inspector. It walked to the door and knocked once. Elias opened. Welcome. The inspector stepped inside without a word. Its long fingers held a scanner and a file. It looked around the cabin, scanning walls, furniture, and even the temperature of the room. You are the husband? The inspector asked in a cold voice. Yes, Elias replied. You are the mother? It asked Kiri. Yes, she said quietly, holding Naya's hand. You will now prove it. The inspector placed a strange machine on the table. This is a bond scanner, it said. It reads emotional links. If you're a real family, it will confirm. Elias and Kiri exchanged a glance. She whispered, It reads heart signals, fear, care, love. Elias sat down and took her hand. He had no idea how to fake love. The machine glowed. A quiet hum filled the air. Then, something strange happened. The scanner blinked, then flashed red. Error. The inspector narrowed its eyes. Explain. Elias blinked. What? The inspector adjusted the machine and tried again. This time the light pulsed, then glowed gold. Result. Bond detected. Parental resonance. High. The inspector froze. It stared at Elias like he was some kind of mystery. Strange. Human emotions are stronger than expected. Then it looked at Naya. She is well. The inspector stood, turned, and walked toward the door. Inspection passed. Monitor file will remain open. Then it vanished. As soon as it left, Kiri fell into the nearest chair. Elias let out a breath he'd been holding the whole time, but Naya ran forward and hugged them both at once. Kiri looked up at Elias. You didn't fake it, did you? He shook his head. I really do care about her. Kiri's voice broke. So do I. Outside, the black ship vanished into the sky. Inside the cabin, something real had begun to grow. 3 days passed since the inspector left Elias's cabin. From the outside, everything looked normal. Quiet farm, peaceful skies. But inside, nothing felt normal. Kiri kept watching the sky with tight eyes. Elias stayed close to Naya, never letting her out of sight. And Naya, she had stopped humming. Something was wrong. That evening, a message flashed on the old datapad. Follow-up test required. Parental connection verification. Elias's heart sank. What do they want now? He asked. Kiri stared at the screen. They don't believe us. The first test wasn't enough. He scrolled down. Bring the child. Bond match must be confirmed at facility. Naya read the words silently. Then she looked at Elias and whispered, Do I have to go? Elias knelt beside her. I'll go with you. I won't let them take you. The next day, a black syndicate transport arrived. It made no sound. The door opened like a mouth waiting to swallow them. Elias, Kiri, and Naya stepped inside. The walls were white, cold, bright. No windows. Guards led them to a small silver room. Inside was a tall machine with 2 chairs, 1 adult, 1 child. A woman, with gray skin, stood waiting. Her eyes were thin and sharp. A test official. "You may sit," she said without emotion. Elias sat in 1 chair. Naya climbed into the other. "This machine reads truth," the woman said. "It will see your hearts. If there is no real bond, the child becomes syndicate property." Elias looked at Naya. She looked up at him. He reached for her hand. "Ready?" he whispered. She nodded. The machine turned on. A beam of soft blue. Light connected their foreheads. Elias felt something. Like memories were being pulled from his mind. He saw the first night he gave Naya soup. He saw her sleeping by the fire. He saw her laughter when she touched the flowers in the field. And then he felt her emotions too, her fear when she first saw him, her confusion, then her comfort, and now her love. The light turned brighter. The room warmed slightly. Then the machine spoke. Genetic. No match. Emotional. Overlap detected. Parental bond strength. Unexpectedly strong. Result. Accepted. Child is protected. The official stared at the machine. She looked at Elias like she was seeing a riddle. You are not related, but her heart trusts you. That is rare, even among real fathers. She walked out of the room. Elias looked at Naya. She leaned forward and hugged him tightly. He held her close. No words were needed. On the way back home, Kiri sat across from them, silent, watching. When they stepped off the transport, she pulled Elias aside. "I need to tell you something." Elias blinked. "What is it?" She looked unsure. "Afraid. I wasn't just asking for help when I begged you to marry me. I was also testing you, to see if you were good enough to raise her." He frowned. "You were testing me?" She nodded. "And you passed." Elias didn't know what to say. But her next words left him silent. "If anything happens to me, she's yours." He looked into her eyes. "You're not going anywhere." Kiri smiled softly. "Let's hope you're right." That night, Naya fell asleep in Elias's lap. Her breathing was peaceful again. But Elias stayed awake, staring at the bracelet still hidden under cloth. He had passed their test, but something inside him knew. The real danger hadn't even begun. It started with the smell of smoke. Elias was fixing the fence when the wind changed. He looked up and saw a black trail rising from the distant woods. Then came the sound, a low, humming drone. Kiri stepped outside the cabin with wide eyes. "They've found us." Elias dropped his tools. "How?" She lifted Naya's wrist. The cloth had slipped. The bracelet's glow had returned. They activated the tracker remotely. Elias cursed under his breath. "Get inside. Pack everything. We run." But Kiri didn't move. "No," she said. "We won't make it." From the sky, a ship appeared, sleek, sharp, and silent. It hovered above the field like a shadow waiting to fall. "We have to fight," she whispered. Elias opened the shed and pulled out an old pulse rifle. Rusty, barely working. "This is all I have." Kiri grabbed a shock baton she had once hidden in her cloak. Naya peeked out the cabin window. "What's happening?" Elias knelt beside her. "Some bad people are coming, but we'll protect you." She held his hand tightly. "Promise?" He nodded. "I'm human and a human doesn't run." A beam of light slammed into the field and 5 syndicate enforcers stepped out. They looked more machine than flesh. Cold eyes, long arms, guns built into their bodies. One stepped forward. "Give us the child." Elias stood his ground. "She's my daughter. You are not blood. I'm family." The enforcer raised a weapon. Elias raised his rifle and fired first. The blast hit the enforcer in the chest, but barely slowed him down. The others opened fire. Elias ran, pulling the fight away from the cabin. He dove behind the tractor, shooting back. Sparks flew. Kiri charged into the field from the other side, baton crackling. She struck one enforcer in the back. It screamed and collapsed, but another turned and struck her hard across the side. She fell to the ground, unmoving. "Kiri!" Elias shouted. The lead enforcer advanced toward the cabin. Inside, Naya stood alone, terrified. Tears fell from her eyes, and her bracelet started to glow white. The moment the lead enforcer stepped through the cabin door, time stopped. A shock wave exploded from Naya's body. Light burst out, shaking the cabin walls. Outside, Elias and the remaining enforcers were thrown to the ground. Elias lifted his head. What was that? From the doorway, Naya walked out slowly. Her eyes glowed bright silver. The bracelet on her wrist melted and fell off. Her body shimmered like starlight. The grass beneath her feet turned green again. Flowers bloomed with every step. The lead enforcer tried to fire. His weapon snapped in two. She raised her hand. A beam of pure light shot forward, lifting him into the air and throwing him back into the trees. The other enforcers turned and fled. Naya collapsed. Elias ran to her and caught her just before she hit the ground. "Kiri!" he shouted. She was crawling across the grass, holding her side. She activated her birthright. Kiri whispered, "She's awakened." Elias looked down at the girl in his arms. Her breathing was shallow, but steady. "She saved us," he whispered. Kiri nodded. "She's more than just a symbol. She's the last hope for our kind." That night the field was quiet again. The ship was gone. The enforcers, destroyed or disappeared. Kiri sat beside Elias near the fire. Bandages wrapped around her arm. Naya slept peacefully between them. "I've never seen power like that," Elias said. "It came from love," Kiri whispered. "From you." Elias looked at her, confused. "She didn't awaken when she was afraid. She awakened when you were in danger." He looked down at Naya. "She's my daughter," he said softly. Kiri nodded. "And now, you're more than just her protector." Elias turned to Kiri. "We're not running anymore." The sky above Elias's farm was blue again. No ships, no noise, just peace. Naya sat on the porch, a warm blanket around her shoulders, a cup of tea in her small hands. Her feet swung above the wooden steps. She hummed softly, like she used to. Kiri stood nearby, watching her with gentle eyes. The bruises on her body had faded, but something in her had changed. She looked lighter, stronger, free. Inside the cabin, Elias fixed a loose window shutter. For the first time in weeks, he was calm. But a part of him knew life would never go back to the way it was, because now he wasn't alone anymore. That evening, Kiri called him outside. She stood in the field where the enforcers had fallen. The grass was tall again, flowers blooming in strange colors. "I need to leave," she said. Elias blinked. "Leave?" She nodded. "There are others, survivors, hidden worlds. They need to know Naya lives, that there's hope." Elias looked down. "You're going to fight." "I must, but Naya, she needs peace and love, something I can't give right now." He looked at the cabin, then at the girl now chasing butterflies in the field. "She belongs here," he said softly. Kiri smiled. "With you." Before sunrise, Kiri packed her things. Naya stood beside her, silent, tears in her glowing eyes. Kiri knelt down. "You are stronger than you know. You're more than power, Naya. You are kindness." Naya hugged her tightly. "I'll come back," Kiri whispered. Naya nodded slowly. Then, without a sound, Kiri walked into the trees and vanished like a star, fading into the dawn. Days passed. Elias and Naya built a new routine. She helped in the garden. Her touch still made things grow. She learned how to read human books. Her favorite was one with drawings of stars and families holding hands. One night after dinner, Naya looked up and asked, Do I have a real father now? Elias knelt beside her. I don't know what makes someone real, but I love you. And I'm not going anywhere, she smiled. Then that's real enough. Weeks turned into months. The cabin became brighter, fuller. Visitors from nearby towns started arriving, curious, friendly. They brought seeds, tools, and gifts for the mystery girl with star-colored eyes. Elias never told the full truth. He only said, "She's my daughter," and that was all they needed to hear. One evening, a small ship landed quietly near the edge of the forest. Kiri stepped out. Elias and Naya ran to her. She looked tired, but alive. "The syndicate is falling apart," she said. The message of hope spread farther than we thought. She looked at Naya and smiled. "The galaxy remembers your name now." Elias looked between them both. "Will you stay?" Kiri paused, then slowly nodded. "If you'll still have me." Naya grabbed both their hands. "We're already family." That night the stars were clear. The cabin glowed with light and laughter. There was no war, no fear. Just a human, an alien mother, and a little girl, sitting around the fire as if they had always belonged together, not by blood, not by duty, but by choice, and in the vast, wild universe. That made them a real family.